بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مرحبا بكم في هذا الصباح الذي نستقبل فيه عدة مناسبات اليوم وغدا. نحن اليوم I don't know if there is any English. Yeah. Welcome to you all in this morning. Today and tomorrow we are receiving so many delegations and friends. Most important is now our guest and his delegation from Russia, friend Sergei Lavrov, the Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation. We thank him for the visit to Sudan and for joining this Arab-Russian cooperation meeting. And it had been a really historical visit from His Excellency, and we had a chance to talk over the issues of cooperation between Sudan and Russia. And our meeting almost covered all issues of cooperation, whether in the field of economy or in the field of political issues. Russia had been supportive to Sudan through time, since the independence of Sudan until now, almost over changing so many political regimes in Sudan, and over the change that took place in Russia. So this long-standing support and cooperation between our two countries is really historical, and it could be an example of cooperation between countries. Russia had been supporting Sudanese issues, and Sudan also supported Russia issues in the international and regional forums. Till last week, we witnessed this support from Russia for our issues in the Security Council, and visits have been also have taken place between our two countries' leaders, and this visit is a landmark into the relations between the two countries, and it was a chance for reassurance of this long-standing cooperation and working together in all fields. The meeting, as I said, went over almost all the issues. From our side, our Ministry of Finance and the Governor of Central Bank and the Minister of Mining joined our part, and his esteemed delegation also was composed of those who had been working with Sudan in the Joint Commission. I would say the next joint commission will take place in Moscow next week also, and it will also contain include some business men and companies. Also, we discussed the Russian companies that are working in Sudan already, and some other Russian companies are still applying for oil fields and gas and in some other areas, and opportunities were availed for them, and they are welcomed. We also discussed how Sudan and Russia can help into easing the bank transfers between our banks and Russian banks. And we went over also regional issues. Sudan, as you know, is active in the issue of Libya, with countries of surrounding Libya, and also we are active in the mediation between Ethiopia and Egypt on the Renaissance Dam. We are active also in Central Africa, being an adjacent country to Sudan, and security issues are very important for us also. We are active also in the mediation in South Sudan, in supporting also South Sudanese who influx by hundreds of thousands into our country. And through all these issues we have been discussing, and we also discussed the position of UNAMID in Sudan and the support that the position of Sudan will have from Russia, and we agreed on how to go together on this issue according to the Security Council resolutions. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear friend and colleague Sergey, and welcome to you and your delegation in being today in Sudan and also being part of Arab-Russian cooperation meetings today. Thank you very much.
Уважаемый господин министр, дорогой Али, мне очень приятно находиться здесь. Наши отношения с Суданом имеют длительную историю дружбы, искренних чувств симпатии наших народов друг к другу и основываются на традициях сотрудничества, которое опирается на взаимное уважение, учет интересов друг друга и невмешательство во внутренние дела.
Distinguished Mr. Minister, it is a pleasure for me to be here. We share a long-standing tradition of friendship and mutual affection between our countries, and we are committed to the development of further cooperation between Russia and Sudan.
Мы находимся в Хартуме в период, когда наши суданские друзья решают весьма важные задачи по завершению процесса урегулирования с Южным Суданом и обеспечению устойчивой нормализации в Дарфуре.
We've arrived to Khartoum in a period that is very important for our partners. At the moment, they are finalizing the settlement process with the South Sudan and the agreement in Darfur.
Мы, Российской Федерации, активно поддерживаем успешное завершение всех этих усилий на основе выполнения документов, которые были подписаны соответствующими сторонами и одобрены в ООН.
The Russian Federation intensely supports successful outcome of these negotiations based on the agreements and documents that were signed by the parties and endorsed by the United Nations.
У нас активно заработала межправительственная комиссия. Год назад состоялось ее заседание в Хартуме, и с тех пор за первые 9 месяцев нынешнего года товарооборот возрос в 4 раза.
An intergovernmental commission between Russia and Sudan is operating very successfully. Last year, its first session was held in Khartoum, and throughout the first 9 months of its operation, our turnover has grown fourfold.
Мы рассчитываем, что второе заседание межправительственной комиссии, которое состоится на следующей неделе в Москве, будет не менее эффективным. Сегодня обсуждали эти вопросы с моим коллегой, министром иностранных дел, а также с министрами нефти, министром природных ресурсов и управляющим Центральным банком Судана.
I hope that the second meeting of the Intergovernmental Commission between Russia and Sudan that is planned for next week and is going to be held in Moscow will be as successful as the first one. Today we discussed the relevant issues and the issues of our bilateral cooperations with my counterpart as well as with the ministers of oil, natural resources and the chief executive of the Central Bank of Sudan.
Minister of Finance. Мы также обсудили перспективы углубления наших гуманитарных, культурных связей, сотрудничества в сфере образования.
We've also discussed the prospects of deepening our humanitarian cooperation and exchanges and cooperation in the area of culture.
У нас есть уже конкретные планы по активизации военно-технического сотрудничества, которое будет развиваться без нанесения какого-либо ущерба балансу сил в регионе и будет полностью соответствовать международным нормам и обязательствам России и Судана.
We have specific projects and plans aimed at developing the military technical cooperation between Russia and Sudan, but it is not going to jeopardize the balance of powers in the region and is going to be totally based on all our international commitments and obligations.
Мы по традиции подробно обсудили положение дел на африканском континенте, в том числе в странах, с которыми граничит Судан, и поддерживаем усилия ИГАД по стабилизации обстановки в Южном Судане, поддерживаем деятельность АМИСОМ по оказанию содействия законным властям Сомали в проведении необходимых реформ.
As we traditionally do, we discussed the situation at the African continent and the efforts taken by IGAD to stabilize the situation in South Sudan, as well as the efforts taken by the UNISOM to help the legitimate authorities in Somalia to settle the situation.
По многим другим проблемам мы приветствуем инициативную роль Хартума, в том числе в отношении проведения завтра встречи стран соседей Ливии здесь, в столице Судана.
In many other issues, we support the active role of Khartoum, for example, in holding tomorrow's meeting of Libya's neighbors here in Khartoum tomorrow.
Мы, в принципе, поддерживаем лидирующую роль африканских стран в решении тех проблем, с которыми сталкиваются государства региона, потому что когда ведущую роль берут на себя непрошенные гости издалека, это приводит, как правило, к трагедии и к развалу государств. Мы наблюдали это и в Ираке, и в Ливии, и сейчас пытаются то же самое сделать в Сирии.
We support the leading role of African states in dealing with the regional problems. We believe that the regional states are best in resolving the issues in the region, because when unwelcome guests starting to intervene into the domestic situation, it can lead to a collapse of states and to terrible consequences, as it has already happened in Iraq, Libya, Syria.
И сегодня на нашей встрече стратегического форума «Россия. Лига арабских государств» мы, я надеюсь, подробно обсудим, как сделать так, чтобы никто не мешал самим странам Ближнего Востока и Севера Африки распоряжаться своей судьбой и сохранять свой суверенитет и территориальную целостность. Я еще раз благодарю наших суданских друзей за предоставление возможности провести эту министерскую встречу «Россия. Лига арабских государств».
Today, during our strategic meeting of the Arab-Russian Council, of the Arab-Russian Forum of Cooperation with the participation of the Arab League, will again emphasize that the issues that exist in the region of Middle East and North Africa have to be dealt by the countries in the region, and they have the right to determine their own destiny and to maintain their own sovereignty. I'd like to thank one more time our organizers and hosts for holding this event. Thank you. Можете ли вы что-либо сказать более точно относительно проектов, связанных с инвестициями в сектор нефти в Судане?
Yes, for sure. This had been one of the issues, and it will also be one of the standing issues that should be discussed whenever we meet, Sudanese side and the Russian side. Russia is very active in this field and has a long-standing experience, and there are some very important and renowned and active Russian companies in oil field. This is where Sudan is also looking for partners, and they are welcome, and they are active actually in some fields, and but we still look for more cooperation in this field. If you want to add, Your Excellency.
Я могу добавить, что у деловых кругов России и Судана есть немало общих интересов. Это касается и углеводородов, это касается и гидроэнергетики, и минеральных ресурсов.
I'd only like to add that the business communities of Russia and Sudan share lots of common interests in the area of hydrocarbons, hydroenergy and mineral resources.
И наши компании, в том числе те, которые уже работали в Судане раньше, с интересом рассматривают предложения наших суданских друзей о том, чтобы вернуться и продолжить имевшиеся и начать новые проекты.
And the companies of Russia that have already worked in Sudan are, with great interest, considering an opportunity of adopting the proposal of our Sudanese colleagues and coming back to work to Sudan.
Все это будет обсуждаться на следующей неделе в ходе сессии межправительственной комиссии в Москве, параллельно с которой состоится и бизнес-форум российских и суданских деловых кругов.
All these issues are going to be discussed next week during the meeting of the Intergovernmental Russia-Sudan Commission in Moscow. And at the same time, there will be held a business meeting, a business council of Russia and Sudan business communities in Moscow.
Okay. Question 5, please.
Если зашла речь о нефти, то вот хотелось бы спросить, обсуждались ли вопросы ценообразования на нефть? Судан один из потенциально один из сильнейших, может быть, игроком на этом рынке, особенно если регулирует отношения с Южным Суданом, ведь речь идет о таких важных нефтеносных районах, как Абьей, в том числе. Вот в этом ключе как-то...
Вы не угадали, к сожалению, это не обсуждалось. Спасибо большое.
The question was related to oil pricing. The question was about Sudan, who has the potential of becoming one of the most powerful actors in oil sector if it settles the dispute with South Sudan, as many fields are located in the area of Abyei, for example.
And I said that this was not discussed because this belongs not to the foreign ministers, but to the professionals who are meeting next week in Moscow, unless you missed the first answer to the first question.
Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Шукран.